Welcome back to week 7 of the NFL season. Things are starting to get a little clearer, like we talked about last week. And here we go, Brant. Week 7. Going to be another good week of NFL football.
Yeah, should be another good week. Should be another fun week. I mean, the NFL has left us asking what's going on more times this year than it has in the past with the Jets and the Giants sitting with great records and all these strong teams, Atlanta and Seattle, who were
Strong
supposed
teams.
supposed to be the bottom of the barrel, are sitting there at 3-3, tied for the division lead. So yeah, it's been a fun season.
Yeah, if Thursday night football this week was any kind of preview for what we're going to get this weekend, I'm very, very excited. D Hop coming back, that was for a lot of us fantasy managers, especially guys that have kept him in Dynasty. That was a very welcome back performance that we were all looking to see. So it was good to see that there, and good to get some good football on a Thursday night. I know we haven't been used to that as of late, but that was definitely good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a very, very good game. Thursday definitely kept my interest, kept me awake for the and wanting to watch it. So it was a good Thursday night game, and I was excited to see D Hop back. You know better than everybody. I'm a huge D Hop believer. I'm a huge D Hop fan. So it was good to see him back on the field.
Yeah, and those of us that stayed up to watch the entirety of the Thursday night game were treated to a treat at the end of it as well, with the huge news of CMC going from the East Coast to the West Coast, now a member of the San Francisco 49ers there. So that'll definitely be interesting to see how that starts to play out as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We'll see. We'll get to see him on the field today a little bit. I don't know how much we're actually going to get to see CMC on the field, so it'll be fun to watch.
Absolutely. So, Brant, with that being said, who's your big play of the week? Who's one player you're keeping an eye on this week for a primetime performance?
I'm actually going to go out, and I know a lot of people are struggling with the tight end with Darren Waller being out again, and then a few bye weeks this week. Go out and look and see if Gerald Everett happened to have been dropped. He's had 2 down weeks for him, and he's going against Seattle. Seattle has given up the most fantasy points to tight ends this year. So I really look for Gerald Everett to have a bounce back game this week against my Seahawks. But yeah, Seattle averages over 20 points against them to giving up to tight ends this year. So I expect Gerald Everett to get back on track.
That's definitely a good pick. Gerald Everett's been solid this year. I know he's had, like you said, a couple down weeks there. So definitely be interesting to see him get back on track. And what better team to do it against than the one that's given up the most points to the tight end, as you mentioned. So definitely expect big things out of Gerald Everett this week. My guy this week is a little bit of a reach, maybe perhaps slightly. I went with the rookie wide receiver out of New York, not Garrett Wilson, with the football Giants. Wan'Dale Robinson, second game being active, obviously third technically. He got hurt in like the first drive of week 1 for the Giants, but last week he made his return, had a touchdown catch, looked pretty good. I expect another big game from him this week. There's really nothing else there. You got Darius Slayton, and that's really about it. Obviously Saquon Barkley as well, but I look for Wan'Dale Robinson to really continue to have that upward trend for his stock after this week. I look for a big week out of him.
Yeah, I expect a big week out of him. I actually went out and picked him up in a couple leagues. I expect him to take over as the New York Giants #1, and I expect that to start this week. All right, looks like first question is in. We got Tua or Brady from Kevin. Good morning, Kevin.
So you've got Tom Brady against the Carolina Panthers in the noon slate, or the Sunday night football with Tua against hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So this is a tough one. I'm going to go with Tua against the Steelers. I think the wide receivers there are going to help Tua's points out a little bit more. I actually like Tua this week over Brady. I think if the Bucs want to get back on track in their winning ways, I think it goes through Fournette and not Brady.
I think it's probably Tua as well. I just don't think that the Carolina Panthers, who are waving the white flag, if you will, are going to put up a whole lot of fight against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think, however, Tua on his first game back is going to come out and look to light the world on fire. Don't necessarily am I advocating saying that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers keep it necessarily close either, but there is no Leonard Fournette in Miami like there is in Tampa. So I go Tua on this one, Kevin. Jennifer, good morning. Brandon Cooks or Alec Pierce? This one's tough for me because I've really been on the Alec Pierce train as of late. But there's also Michael Pittman. There's also Paris Campbell. There's also the tight ends. There's also the return of Jonathan Taylor this week. Whereas with Brandon Cooks, you really have, Nico Collins to contend with. I think I probably lean Brandon Cooks. This is starting to get a lot closer than it would have been, 2 or 3 weeks ago for sure. But I think I still go Brandon Cooks at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm still leaning on the Cook side. We talked about it on the cast, how Nico Collins is starting to come on. We also talked about it last weekend. But yeah, I think it's still Brandon Cooks. Pierce has done some good things over the last few weeks, but I really like Brandon Cooks still going forward. But yeah, this is going to be a question every single week, and if Cooks doesn't pick it up, I think it's going to end up being a more even harder decision.
Okay. Brian Robinson or Gus Edwards? This one's definitely a little bit interesting. Excuse me, with J.K. Dobbins getting that arthroscopic procedure done on his knee this week. Definitely kind of wide opens that Baltimore backfield. However, the one thing I'll say is that aside from like Kenyon Drake's like one good game last weekend, no back has looked that good this year in Baltimore. I'm going Brian Robinson here. I think Brian Robinson's in line for a big week again this week. I actually have him as one of my touchdown scorers on the week. So I really like Brian Robinson in his matchup against the Packers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely love Bryson this week. I think Kenny Drake is the back on in Baltimore. J.K. Dobbins is gone and might still be the back on after Dobbins because he's not through it. So I absolutely love Brian Robinson. Next one up, Jacoby Myers, Brian Robinson, or DJ Moore.
Again, Brant, for me on this one, I'm going Brian Robinson. DJ Moore is I don't know whether that in my mind hurts his value a little bit or helps it that CMC is out of town. But I'm still taking him out of the equation. He's just left too much to be desired this year based on his draft capital. It's not looked good. So then it comes down to Jacoby Myers for me or Brian Robinson. And again, due to the fact that I think Brian Robinson finds the end zone this week, he's my choice. I just think he's going to have, 15 plus carries, maybe a few targets, and like I said, the touchdown. So I go Brian Robinson here.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Brian Robinson here also. I think the Commanders are going to lean on that run game without Carson Wentz there. I know Heinicke's been serviceable in the past for him, but yeah, I think they lean on that run game. I like Brian Robinson a lot. I wouldn't be surprised to see Brian Robinson find himself as a top 15 back this week. Good morning, Michael. Is CMC still good to go full PPR? This one I'm kind of steering away from. I mean, where you drafted CMC, you can't bench him if he plays, not unless you have a very good backup there. But CMC, I would temper expectations this week just because they have just a small package for him.
Yeah, I think I'm probably sitting CMC this week. Just the simple fact that it scares me enough that the trade happened Thursday. I think even if the trade goes through Wednesday evening, and logging a full padded practice potentially would have made me a little more confident / comfortable with him. I just have so much doubts and concerns that there's enough of the playbook being down pat for him to get, a huge snap share today. So I just worry that, and like you alluded to, Brent, there may be a possibility there's some packages already designed for him, like around the goal line and stuff. Maybe he does get a touchdown this week. So you'd really have to be comfortable, like being okay with him going for 15 points on your bench. But there's also a possibility he gets like 5 or 6 this week, just because I don't know how much he'll see the field. Kevin says, do I keep Elijah Mitchell until the trade deadline? Kevin, I think you do personally. I think you absolutely keep him till deadline, especially if he's not clogging up a roster spot that you really need for somebody to play. I think there's a small chance he gets moved. Probably not great, but at the very least, we know one thing about San Francisco, and that's they can't keep a running back healthy. And we know another thing about the running back they just traded for in CMC, that he can't stay healthy. So I think there's definitely going to be opportunity for work for Elijah Mitchell, even if he stays. But I don't think it's a bad idea to hold him until after the trade deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on to him, especially while he's just sitting there on the IR. See what the actual packages look like with CMC there in San Fran, because we do know that they like to run a committee also. So they may run a committee and just keep. They may run a committee just trying to keep him healthy. So Mitchell may still have some value.
Michael Gallup, Devin Duvernay, or Garrett Wilson need 2 for full point PPR.
This one's tough. This one's tough for me. I'm looking something real fast. Let's see.
I think with the return of Dak Prescott, I think Michael Gallup's value goes up a little bit for me. I think that offense just takes a step forward. Not saying that Cooper Rush didn't do a darn good job of keeping that offense afloat, winning games. I just think fantasy-wise, Dak takes a step forward here. So I actually like Michael Gallup. He's probably my favorite of these 3. So then it just comes down for me between Devin Duvernay or Garrett Wilson. And my personal choice is Garrett Wilson with Elijah Moore on the sideline today. I think that should create more routes ran for Garrett Wilson, which obviously creates more opportunity for volume. So I go Garrett Wilson and Michael Gallup.
So Gallup is the first one that I do choose out of this one to start. And my other one is Garrett Wilson also, because the return of Rashad Bateman, and they're in Baltimore this week. So I think he slides back into the 1 role, and Andrews is still there. So Duvernay, I kind of want to see what's going to happen with them all there, because I just don't trust anybody really catching the ball. And that's hard for me to say when I was huge on Bateman this season, but so we'll see. I go Gallup and Wilson there. Pops Jeff asks, is Aaron Jones losing touches to AJ Dillon, do you still consider him RB1 or RB done? I absolutely love Aaron Jones still. I don't know. He's bottom of the RB1, high RB2. He's still going to have upside in that offense with Aaron Rodgers there. So yeah, I still consider Aaron Jones he may not be that, top 7, but he's down there in the 12 to 15 range. So maybe just an RB2, but I still really like Aaron Jones moving forward.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is probably just a touchdown a week away from being a full-blown running back 1. AJ Dillon does take some value away, obviously. But I think that this week, I know I mentioned on the podcast that Brant and I put out earlier in the week, I think both of these Packer running backs get back on track this week. So I think you're going to see Aaron Jones put up RB1 numbers this week.
Yeah.
Tony says, good morning, fellas. 2 questions. Would it be safe to play CMC even though he'll probably be limited, or go with Herbert Monday night? All right, so let's take that first question real quick before we get into the second part. So CMC, who arrived in San Francisco just a couple of days ago, Brant, or Herbert with Montgomery back? What's your take on this?
I'm starting CMC over Herbert. I know, like I said, they only have a few packages designed for him, but his TD upside's there. We don't really know what we're going to get out of Herbert come Monday night, and we know that we're going to get a top tier defense with New England and focused on taking away the run game and making Fields pass. So yeah, I would stick with CMC there.
Yeah, I'm going CMC as well. I just think that David Montgomery hurts Herbert's value too much. And CMC being on the field even for just 20 snaps or so, you're hopefully going to get some decent numbers out of that. So CMC is a guy that I'm looking to bench in some leagues, but not in favor of Khalil Herbert. So part 2 of this question is PPR league. 2 point per reception league. Sorry. Need to start 3 at wide receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jacoby Myers, Zay Jones, Tyler Boyd, Keenan Allen, assuming he plays, even though he plays the 4:00 game.
You and me talked about this prior to. We don't expect Keenan Allen to play. Their bye weeks next week. So I'm actually going to say I'm taking Keenan Allen out just because I don't think he's going to play. St. Brown's my number 1 in this one. Fairly easy. Coming back, going to be in a good game with Dallas. And let's see, Jacoby, Zay Jones, or Tyler Boyd. I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers. He goes against. He also gives you the option to flex to Keenan Allen if you start Jacoby because he doesn't play till Monday. But yeah, I'm going to go with Jacoby because he plays against Chicago, who has one of the worst slot corners, giving up some of the most fantasy points to slot wide receivers. So I'm leaning Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, Amon-Ra's the obvious one for me, very similar to you, Brant. And then I probably also go Jacoby Myers again. That Monday night gives you some freedom to keep an eye on Keenan Allen. And then for the third one, I'm going Tyler Boyd. Atlanta's second best cornerback, Casey Hayward, went to the IR last week, and that went over the 49ers. AJ Terrell's banged up. I look for the Cincinnati Bengals pass catchers to have a get-right game this week. I think you'll see a lot of T. Higgins and a lot of Tyler Boyd. I'm thinking you'll see a good matchup between AJ Terrell, who, in my opinion, is one of the top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL, against Jamar Chase. I think that'll be the matchup there. Dating back to LSU and Clemson in the national title game where Jamar Chase just absolutely embarrassed AJ Terrell. But I think Tyler Boyd will have a pretty serviceable day there. So those are my 3.
Yeah, I think Tyler Boyd would be my 3. Sorry, I saw the 2-point PPR and threw me off a little bit. But yeah, Tyler Boyd would be my 3rd also.
Kevin says, is Kyren Williams a good pickup coming off of IR soon? Yes, both Fat Boys are in strong agreement here. We definitely put that out also on the podcast this week. Kyren Williams is an absolute great stash. I don't think Darrell Henderson did anything to light the world on fire or silence anybody that, maybe pounding that table for Kyren Williams a little bit in LA. When he comes back, I think he's going to have a pretty nice role.
Yes, absolutely. Kyren Williams is a great pick. High on him coming out of college. He's another wide receiver transfer to running backs. He does have very good hands. So, yeah, I think Kyren Williams will find a pretty good role in that offense.
Frederick says, hard week. What do you think? Deontay Foreman, Edwards, or Pickens as a flex? And that's half-point PPR, by the way, Brant. I didn't read that. So you got I'm
going to go with Pickens. With the Carolina going against the Bucs, it's going to be hard to get that run game going. I don't know how much I trust that offense to even be in that game. And then Gus Edwards is just coming back from the pup. So he'll have to slowly work his way in. I expect Kenny Drake to take over the lead role there. And I think Pickens and Pittsburgh will be playing from behind there in Miami. So I could see a lot of targets coming Pickens' ways this week.
Yeah, I think Foreman's probably the safe play here, but I don't think it gets you a whole lot. So I'd probably go Pickens as well, just because Pickens could be a guy that could have, 8+ targets this week. So I probably go Pickens as well, but I think Foreman, if you want a safe play, is the guy. Corbin, good morning, buddy. Says, so I'm in a spot. I need one for wide receiver, half-point PPR. I got Curtis Samuel, Romeo Doubs, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Deontay Johnson. Also for the flex, I have Brian Robinson Jr. Should I keep him or add one of these other guys? Thanks, dudes. So for me, it's the Robinson boys in this one. I have Brian Robinson as my touchdown scorer of the week. He's one of my favorite guys to find the end zone this week. And I have Wan'Dale Robinson as my big play of the week. So for me, it's both the Robinsons here. I think you could make the argument for Romeo Doubs or Deontay Johnson, but there's just no other pass catchers really that are viable in New York. I expect a pretty good day from Wandale, and I think I probably leave Brian Robinson alone in the flex.
Yeah, I'm leaving Brian Robinson alone right there, and I think I lean Wandale Robinson as well. I think you might start seeing a Debo type role from Wandale Robinson. I'm not saying he's going to hang up those points, but there's definitely his skill set definitely fits that type of role. So I like Wandale Robinson moving forward.
Michael says Pollard, Kirk, or Dobbs in the flex, full point PPR. Brand, I'm going to defer to you on this one.
Oh, let's see. Pollard gets
Detroit.
Pollard gets Detroit, one of the worst rush defenses. Kirk, I really like. They play
the Giants.
And Dobbs is
against the Commanders.
This one's tough, actually. I think I'm going to lean Tony Pollard. I think there's a very good chance for explosive plays there against Detroit. Detroit gives up the second most fantasy points to running backs. So, yeah, I think I'm going to lean Pollard out of all those.
Yeah, I think Pollard, again, this is very similar to Frederick's question a little earlier. Pollard's the safe play. I think Romeo Doubs is a guy that could have a huge day, though. So if you want safety, you want those for sure points, I go Pollard. If you're looking for an explosion, I go Doubs. Trey says, start Pollard or Dillon today. Brand, I think you and I are going to have split answers on this one, but I'll defer to you first.
I'm starting Pollard over him. I like I said, I like the explosion play upside against the Detroit Lions. I like his PPR upside. I think the game. I think Dallas's defense holds Detroit down low enough to where maybe they have to lean. Maybe they get a lean on the run a little bit more. So I like Pollard's play this week, actually.
Yeah, for me, I think I go the opposite way. I go A.J. Dillon. Both of these running backs are in a very similar situation, right? I mean, they're both kind of the second fiddle in their offenses behind Zeke for Pollard and Aaron Jones for Dillon. But I did say, and I'm on record, I got to stand on it. I think both the Packers running backs have very good weeks this week. So I lean the Packers backfield over the Cowboys backfield. Kevin says running backs are Damian Harris, Brian Robinson, Cordero Patterson, J.K. Dobbins, Elijah Mitchell. Who do you drop for Kyren Williams? Boy. So Cordero Patterson for me is one that I'm probably holding on to, and it seems like that would be the obvious one to drop for a lot of people, but he looked super explosive. He's getting closer. I think he's got like maybe 1 or 2 more weeks he's got to spend on the IR before he can be activated. But Cordero Patterson, I think he comes right back into that role he left because none of these other backs in Atlanta have really looked quite as good as he did. Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier have both been, okay, but neither one of them have done what Cordero did. So if I had to drop one for Kyren Williams, it'd probably be Elijah Mitchell with the emergence of that CMC trade. But I know you said that you were tempted to hold on to Elijah until the trade deadline. But if I had to drop one of these guys, it'd probably be Elijah for Kyren.
Yeah, if I'm dropping one, it's Elijah Mitchell as well, as in my mind. Dobbins, I think, still has a role when he comes back. And like you said, Cordero Patterson looked explosive before he went out. We're both high on Brian Robinson and Damian Harris. We know what the backfield always looks like in New England. It's split. So, yeah, I think Elijah Mitchell's the easiest one to drop. The easiest choice. It'd still be hard to drop him.
Correct. James, I'm sorry we steered you wrong. You told me Jeff Wilson Jr. over Waddle last week, but it's okay. Give me a makeup play. Also, did you hear Isaiah Pacheco is starting over CEH? Yeah, CEH hasn't been that great this year. He's just happened to find the end zone several times. Brant and I have talked about this on the podcast as well. Jerick McKinnon's outsnapped him quite a few times, that him being CEH. It'll be interesting to see what Isaiah Pacheco can do. He definitely looked pretty good, and some of his reps that he's had. I don't know how much I read into that, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting. Is Isaiah Pacheco going to be the new guy, sliding into the back of the end zone and catching those lucky passes? Pacheco definitely has looked more explosive when he has seen snaps in the backfield. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. Let's see. David asked Josh Reynolds, Marvin Jones, or Mac Hollins, full point PPR.
It's Josh Reynolds for me. I just think that with Marvin Jones, the Jags have spread the ball out too much. You've seen each one of those Jacksonville Jaguars wide receivers kind of have their turn in the spotlight, if you will. Mac Hollins, it sounds like Renfro's back this week. Devontae Adams is there, and Josh Jacobs has looked too good. I don't expect Houston to necessarily keep that game super close in Las Vegas this week. So it rules out Mac Hollins for me as well. So it's Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, I think Josh Reynolds is the one I lean on to here. I think that game's going to have some points put up. And I think Josh Reynolds has a good day today.
James says, do I run Waddle questionable at 8 p.m.? If Waddle plays in that game with Tua back, I definitely think you do. But you'd need to have some kind of contingency plan in place in case he doesn't. So that would kind of leave you with like the table scraps of what's left of the Pittsburgh wide receivers, or, table scraps of the Chicago wide receivers, or table scraps of the New England Patriots wide receivers. So you've got to be fairly confident that Waddle's going to suit up. If he's not, or if you're not confident, I wouldn't, necessarily be ashamed in sitting him for guaranteed points, because I don't like any of the table scraps that are going to be left.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I really don't like any. If you are going to feel comfortable with them, Traquan Thornton's probably out on your waivers if it's not too deep of a league. And I do like the emergence there with what he's done in New England. So if you are going to sit and wait on Waddle, that's a guy that I would go after. I think that's probably the best one that's going to be on waivers, unless somehow Claypool's on your waivers. But I don't see that. But yeah, I think I have to take the guaranteed points. It scares me. Wait until 8 p.m. with Waddle.
Justin says Stevenson or Jones. So you got Ramondre Stevenson Monday night against the Chicago Bears defense, or Aaron Jones against the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I think I'm
Damian Harris is back this week, and we know Bill Belichick likes to mess with people's heads. Unless you have to start Stevenson this week, I know he's been great. I get it. And that there's strong indicators that say he'll keep being great, but it is, again, Bill Belichick, excuse me. So I probably go Aaron Jones against the Commanders. Again, Aaron Rodgers came out, said in the press conference after last week's loss to the Jets that the offense had to be simplified. The only way you simplify an offense, much more than it already is there in Green Bay, is a lot of carries for those running backs. So I look for big days for both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon again. So I go Aaron Jones over Ramondre.
Yeah, I'm leaning Jones pretty much for the same reasons right there. I expect people to have huge day that we never really know what to expect out of the New England backfield, especially with Damian Harris back. So yeah, I'm going to take Aaron Jones this week.
Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, or Michael Gallup need 2 for full point PPR.
Terry McLaurin is the guy that I'm starting out of all of those as number 1 with Tyler Heineke coming back. We know that Heineke did look his way quite a bit last year. I think McLaurin gets a chance to get back into, fantasy relevancy. I know he's been up and down all year. So I like Terry McLaurin this week, even against Green Bay. I still like Terry McLaurin. As for the second one, I think I lean Gallup in this. I just like you said, I think there's a lot of points to be held in that game. So I think I got to lean Gallup and McLaurin there.
This is a really, in my opinion, is a really good problem to have because you do have Taylor Heineke coming back starting, which, like you mentioned there, Brant, is Terry McLaurin was his favorite target last year. And then, this is Michael Gallup and Dak Prescott's first game together this season. So that'll definitely be interesting to see how that shakes out. Deontay Johnson did come out on Twitter and tell his fans to be patient. Big games are coming back. I actually think I probably leave Terry McLaurin out as my two here. I think I probably actually go Deontay Johnson and Michael Gallup, but this is a very close one. And I feel like whichever one you happen to leave out of these three is going to be the one that goes off. So good luck to you.
Yeah.
He says, this one's a little easier. He says, sit one. So assuming that these are all three running backs, and I believe they are, so that third one being Jeff Wilson, I think I sit Jeff Wilson this week just because there is going to be some CMC. We don't know how much. CMC scares me this week. I don't know how much I believe in him to play, but I think you definitely see some goal line packages. When Kyle Shanahan comes out and says that he thinks he's going to make some goal line packages for CMC, I expect to see some goal line packages. So that definitely hurts Jeff Wilson's value to me a little bit. And I really like Kenyon Drake this week. And Brand, as you mentioned, you think Tony Pollard's in line for a good line of work. So I think you sit Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson's my easy sit on this one, assuming it is Jeff Wilson. So, yeah, I'm starting Drake. I think he's in line to be the RB1 until he slows down. And like I said, Tony Pollard's I think, in for a big week. So, yeah, Jeff Wilson's my sit.
Shane says, hope you are doing well. Shane, thank you for that. Yeah. Fat and happy. Definitely fat and happy.
Yes.
Happy Sunday to you as well. He says, Tua or Matty Ice? Ryan was huge last week in Tua. Is he really injury-free? I definitely get the cause for concern. That was, Tua when he got injured there, that was definitely a very scary thing to see. And Matt Ryan is really starting to find his groove there in Indianapolis. There's no shortage of weapons for either of these two quarterbacks. I do think that Tua's weapons can do a little bit more with the ball in their hands after the catch, potentially. However, I think I'm going to lean Ryan in this one this week, just simply because I don't know about Waddle at this point. If I knew Waddle was in for sure, I'd probably go Tua. But I really like Matt Ryan, the way things are going after last week. He's getting all of his pass catchers involved, which is definitely very scary. It reminds me a lot of 2016 Matt Ryan when he won the MVP. I'm not saying that's going to happen this year. Nobody put me on record as saying that, but he's spreading the ball out. Alec Pierce looks good. Michael Pittman looks good. Paris Campbell had a good game last week. I go Matt Ryan here, just because of the Jalen Waddle stuff.
I'm going Matt Ryan as well. Last time he saw Tennessee, he threw for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns earlier this year, and that was a down week for the Indianapolis Colts. And now they're starting to figure it out. His pass attempts have gone up each of the last 3 weeks. So, yeah, I expect another big game out of Matt Ryan.
Tony says, is Dameon Pierce a good play today versus the Raiders? Absolutely. He is.
Yes.
He's definitely one of my favorite plays of the week. Again, this is something that's very bittersweet for me to say. I choke on my own words every time I say this because I didn't buy into the Dameon Pierce hype train. And I'm sure this offseason I will find a way to get off of it. But as of right now and where things sit right now, yes, Dameon Pierce is an amazing play this week.
Yes, absolutely.
Justin's coming right after my own heart this week. All these guys I expect to have great games this week. So A.J. Dillon, Travis Etienne, or Brian Robinson. Brant, I'm going to need a minute to digest this question and actually pick one, so I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I'm going to lean Brian Robinson because, like I said, I think they lean on that backfield a little bit this week. Travis Etienne goes against Washington. Not Washington, against the Giants. I know the Giants did have a rough week last week with Kenyon Drake, but there's still James Robinson sitting there, and Etienne scares me a little bit still. I'm starting to get more comfortable with him. Brian Robinson should be in line for the full workload. I know Gibson's still, hanging around every once in a while, but I like Brian Robinson out of those 3 this week.
Absolutely. I I think I'd go Brian Robinson, and I'm going to tell you my reason and rationale for picking him is because his backup scares me the least out of the three. You know, his backup being Antonio Gibson, who's now a punt returner, kick returner. I think he scares me less than Aaron Jones and James Robinson. So I'm going to go Brian Robinson, but I think all three of these backs end up having fairly good weeks. Michael says, is it crazy to start Isaiah Pacheco over Aaron Jones since he's not doing much? Yeah, I kind of think it's crazy. You know, you still have Jerick McKinnon, you still have CEH, you still have well, you got Isaiah Pacheco, and not to mention this is still going to be a Patrick Mahomes passing offense. So I do think it's probably a little crazy, but would I be shocked to see Isaiah Pacheco find the end zone 18 times today? Probably not. Just because CEH has done it on so few snaps in the past already this season. But I think Aaron Jones is definitely going to have more work, more volume than Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, I think you have to start Aaron Jones where you drafted him. Once again, like you said, there's so many heads in that backfield in Kansas City. You don't really know what you're going to get out of that backfield week in, week out. Against the Niners, they do have a great rush defense also. They have a great defense all around, really. But, yeah, I think you have to start Aaron Jones.
Oh, the question of the week. Michael says, with Ripon starting, do we sit Sutton for Terry or Wan'Dale Robinson? Brandt's got the head nod going here. I'm not so sure. I know that Jets secondary has looked really good this year. But let's be honest, Russell Wilson's not done anything spectacular to make me question a backup quarterback's ability to make Courtland Sutton look good. So I think you still see a fairly decent day out of Courtland Sutton, but Wan'Dale Robinson is one of my favorite plays of the week this week. So for me, it wouldn't be absolutely insane to sit Sutton over Wan'Dale. You know, I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary is going to be a lot more laxed than that of the New York Jets secondary. But I think personally, I'm still playing Courtland Sutton this week. My expectations are a little lower, yes, just because of the Jets secondary, but not because of Brett Ripon starting over Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Ripon's not the reason I don't like it. I just don't know what we're going to see out of Denver. So I expect a deep week out of both Terry and Wan'Dale. I've expressed that. And I expect Sutton to see a lot of Sauce Gardner when they line up. So if any of those receivers in my mind are going to do anything with Denver, it's going to have to be Jerry Jeudy, because Sauce has been very, very, very good this year against number one wideouts.
Jason says, actually don't have any hard picks this week, but that's for the help this year. Been crushing 5-1, 4-2, and 4-2. Appreciate it. Jason, when you win some trophies this year, I want to see them. So make sure you send the fat boys some pictures of them.
Absolutely. Definitely want to see them. Definitely want to see them.
Tony says, Green Bay defense versus Washington or Dallas defense versus Detroit. I go Green Bay's defense here. You know, I think Taylor Heinicke actually makes Washington's offense a little more fun and easy on the eyes. I'm not a Carson Wentz fan at all. I'm not that guy. But Green Bay's defense has definitely been very serviceable this year in fantasy. I know they've had a couple down weeks just because the offense also hasn't looked good. But I definitely think that Dallas Detroit game could be high scoring. I know Brandt's a little less optimistic about that. He thinks Dallas defense is going to be just fine. I probably go Green Bay's though, just because I think Washington is capable of putting up fewer points than Detroit.
Yeah, I'm leaning Green Bay's because what we both have talked about, that we expect big days out of AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, which means a lot of running the ball for the Green Bay offense, which keeps that defense off the field, which, when they do get on, they're refreshed and everything else. So yeah, I lean Green Bay's defense. I think they'll be able to generate some sacks and some turnovers with Taylor Heinicke. So yeah, I like Green Bay's defense this week.
Oh, Ryan says, Jamal Williams or Jonathan Taylor PPR. Do you trust Taylor yet? Yes, I do. I know that the ankle sprain's scary. I know that's we've seen that hamper some really good running backs in the past. I just think Jonathan Taylor, he was the number one running back in fantasy last year for a reason. And Jamal Williams is Jamal Williams. He's a backup running back. I know he's been very, very good in DeAndre Swift's absence, but I like Jonathan Taylor against Tennessee this week a little bit more than I like Jamal Williams against Dallas.
Yeah, I'm definitely trusting Taylor. You picked him at the 101 for a reason. You're going to hold that trust in him. I know, like you said, the ankle sprain's a little scary, but they got back on track last week. The Indianapolis Colts did with, leaning on the run. And now they get one of the best, if not the best running back in football back. So yeah, I definitely am trusting Jonathan Taylor to have a good week this week.
Raymond says Ramondre Stevenson or Mike Williams at the flex PPR.
Mike Williams all week against Seattle's secondary. I was trying to think of better, nicer words that are family friendly, but Mike Williams against our secondary.
Yeah, I go Mike Williams too. I know Seattle secondary is very young, and eventually they're going to be pretty good, but I'm not sure we're at eventually yet. So again, Damian Harris being back scares me a little bit with Belichick. So I go Mike Williams, especially that's a huge boost in my mind if Keenan Allen for sure is out. Tony says, one last question with you guys thinking Allen won't play 1 point PPR, Drake London, George Pickens, or Josh Reynolds. For me, it's Drake London again. I know I'm a broken record on Drake London, but I think the questions wouldn't loom for Drake London if Atlanta hadn't become such a great running team overnight. But that being said, Drake London's still in the top 5 in the league and target share. And this is a game this week that I think that there's a good chance that you see a negative game script for Atlanta. And I do expect to have to see the ball thrown a little bit more from Marcus Mariota this week, and Drake London's been his guy. So I look for a pretty good week out of Drake London this week. Yeah,
I'm leaning Drake London out of all those two. Like you said, I expect them to be playing from behind with that high-powered Cincy offense. I'm leaning Drake London to see a lot of work today.
Travis says, David Montgomery at New England or Travis Etienne versus the Giants? I've been disappointed in Montgomery's output.
So I'm leaning Etienne on this one. I know I said he scares me a little bit, but Bill Belichick's very good at game planning, and I expect him to game plan against the run and make Justin Fields throw the ball if they're going to beat them. So I expect Montgomery's day to be a little lackluster. And Etienne always has the chance for explosive plays. Like I said, I expect he does scare me a little bit, but Etienne's the higher upside guy in my mind right now.
Yeah, I actually think that even though I do expect a pretty good game out of Travis Etienne, I think I'd probably go David Montgomery on this one, just simply because if Chicago has any chance at all to win this game, it's going to have to be on the back of David Montgomery. We haven't seen enough out of Justin Fields to say that it can be won by Justin Fields at this point. So I think I go David Montgomery just because I don't necessarily see New England pulling away from this game at any given point. So I think I go Montgomery.
Okay. All right.
Jennifer, this is why you're one of my favorites. What's on the menu today? For me, the menu is going to be very scary. I have a end of the year cheer banquet / party that I have to attend. That my worst part of all this is that my wife's in charge of it, and she scheduled it from 12 to 3. I think it's because she secretly hates me. But she at the very least did take care of it. They're having 100 pizzas catered for this party, so I'm going to be so chock full of pizza watching the game on my phone. And then the one good perk is that with her being in charge of the cheer squad and the director of the program is that I get to bring home all the leftover pizzas. So I'll probably be eating pizza for the next week and a half. But pizza today definitely sounds good. So that's what's on the menu for me.
I guess you got your lunch for work the rest of the week. Just throw some pizza in a bag, call it a good day.
Yep.
This is funny. My menu is actually consisting of some pizza bowls this evening with the kids. We had to push our pizza night we normally do on Fridays. We had to push that back all the way till Sunday, so it got filled into the dinner void. And leading up to dinner, we are just going to raid the freezer, and we found a whole bunch of cheese curds and mozzarella sticks and everything else that have been building up over the last few Sundays. So we're going to throw those in the air fryer. Just a little appetizer spread all the way to snack throughout the day.
Zach says full point PPR, Jamal Williams. If Swift is out, Rashad Bateman or Brian Robinson. For me, this is Brian Robinson still, but it's very close with Jamal Williams. But I do think Brian Robinson's one of the plays of the week this week. So I go Brian Robinson here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to lean Brian Robinson here too. I've been tooting that horn the entire day today, so I'm gonna stay on it. I think Brian Robinson's in store for a pretty good day today.
Brent says Brandon Ayuk or Curtis Samuel. I think Curtis Samuel takes a step back this week because I think Taylor Heinicke is going to target, Terry McLaurin, as Brent had alluded to earlier. That was one of Taylor's favorite targets last year when he played. And I do think that the 49ers are going to trail. Listen, if the Atlanta Falcons can beat the 49ers by 2 scores, what are the Kansas City Chiefs going to do against them? I definitely think you're going to see a healthy dose of Brandon Ayuk this week.
Well, you guys obviously scared the Niners enough to give up all their 2023 draft picks to go get CMC. Good for you guys. Thanks for making the Seattle Seahawks see him twice a year now. So I lean Brandon Ayuk. I actually have the same decision to make in one of my leagues. I'm leaning Ayuk. I expect them to be playing from behind. I expect that ball to be aired out quite a bit. So yeah, I like Brandon Ayuk this week.
Lewis says Kenyon Drake or Michael Gallup, just filling in for Keenan Allen. Everybody who drafted Keenan Allen early this year is just going to absolutely be kicking the dirt. None of us saw that coming this big of an absence. And when Keenan Allen plays, man, is he just an absolute hoss? But in his absence, this one's a safety versus a boom play in my mind. I think Kenyon Drake's probably safer. I say safer, very lax, because you do have Justice Hill and Gus Edwards there as well. But I think Michael Gallup with Dak back, that offense, that it really unlocks their fantasy values. And Michael Gallup is going to be a guy that I think Dak looks at quite a bit this week. So I go Michael Gallup. But again, if I want those safe points, if I'm in a matchup I'm projected to win pretty good, I know I got some other studs other places, I might go Kenyon Drake just for some safety.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's Kenyon Drake is the safer play because he will, he's going to get touches. It's going to be, a run first offense. Cleveland's defense actually gives up the 3rd most fantasy points to running backs. So that's a good thing to add with Kenyon Drake. But if you want the higher ceiling, the bigger boom play, if you're projected to lose, I think Michael Gallup's the guy that could really boom out of the shoes this week between the two of them. But the safer play in my mind is Kenyon Drake.
Adam says Brian Robinson, Isaiah Pacheco, or Melvin Gordon in half-point PPR.
I'm leaning Brian Robinson out of all 3 of those. Melvin Gordon did not look good last week, getting benched for a guy that they just signed a week ago. I'm leaning Brian Robinson on this one.
Yeah, I think I go Brian Robinson too. I know that there's going to be a lot of allure to play Isaiah Pacheco after him being named the starter, getting all the work with the ones this week. But again, with the exception of Clyde Edwards-Helaire finding the end zone, if you take some of those touchdowns down around the goal line, those shovel passes away from him this year, there's not been really any fantasy relevancy out of the backfield there in Kansas City. So I go Brian Robinson this week in that one as well. Joe says Isaiah Pacheco, Damian Harris, or Drake London in the flex. For me, this is Drake London. He's the best player out of the 3 names mentioned. Should have the biggest role on this team of the 3 mentioned. So I go Drake London.
Yeah, I lean Drake London here too. He follows it up with saying it's PPR. So yeah, I'm going to go Drake London. I expect him to get peppered with targets and plenty of points there.
Josh says Latavius Murray, Dante Foreman, or Isaiah Pacheco. The bye week is hurting me.
I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it definitely does sound like it is. Honestly, in this one, this might be the one where I give Isaiah Pacheco a start. I think Dante Foreman's probably the guy moving forward in Carolina, but we don't know that for sure. It could very well be Chuba Hubbard, but I don't like the game script that Carolina is going to have this week. I think they're going to trail early and be out of this game early as well. Latavius Murray has had some sneaky good games this week. You know, that game where he came off the practice squad for the Saints, he looked pretty good. And then obviously he outsnapped Melvin Gordon last week. But I think I still leave him probably out. For me, I think it's Isaiah Pacheco, but it would be between Foreman and Pacheco for me.
Yeah, Pacheco's the guy I'm leaning. Once again, Foreman, it's between those two. Foreman, we don't know if he is the guy moving forward, and we may not know after this week either with them playing the Bucks. So yeah, I lean Isaiah Pacheco in this instance here.
Paul says, I'm in a dogfight in one redraft league to get back on track. I need a flex option out of these three. Jacoby Myers against the Bears secondary, Garrett Wilson versus the Broncos secondary, or Darnell Mooney against the Pats secondary. Need a boom player.
Let's see. Boom.
All three of these guys, first of all, Brand, I think all three of these guys have been booms at some point this year.
Yes.
So which of the three do you feel most comfortable booming this week?
I think Mooney's the first one I take out. I just the Pats defense is so good.
I agree with that take. Yeah.
And
Mooney's out.
And I mean, we all know Justin Fields can't throw the football. So
do we know that? We haven't got to see him do it very much this year. I'm not sure we know that. Well, that could be.
Oh man, this is tough. Oh, God.
I think it's Garrett Wilson with the absence of Elijah Moore this week. Again, I think Elijah Moore, even though he hasn't looked great this year, was still running routes, was still taking targets away. He's not there this week, so it comes down to Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis. I like Garrett Wilson this week. I look for a bounce-back week for the rookie there in New York. I think it's Garrett Wilson's my pick.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you need a boom play, I think you got to go Garrett Wilson. I think he has the higher upside to get the most points out of those three. Myers, in my mind, is the safety valve for me and for New England. So I like Garrett Wilson to hang up more points than the other two this week.
Joe says he needs two in a PPR: Jeff Wilson, Darnell Mooney, Josh Reynolds, or Hunter Henry.
Once again, I'm taking Mooney out first.
I think I take out Hunter Henry first. For me, I think it really does come down to, in a PPR, to Mooney and Robinson. I think I want to say Jeff Wilson's my obvious start just because I don't think CMC plays a ton. But man, if CMC comes out in one drive and just looks phenomenal, that all could change everything. So I think Jeff Wilson I probably leave out. So I probably play Darnell Mooney and Josh Reynolds for me. If I knew for sure CMC wasn't going to have any kind of role, this would be a different story. But I think I like Darnell Mooney and Josh Reynolds.
Yeah. So Hunter Henry is my first one out. Sorry. Because I thought Jonnu was still out. He has been cleared to play this week. So Henry is my first one out. Jeff Wilson, I can't trust. I think I got to lean Mooney and Reynolds as well. Even though I said Mooney's the first one out, I think those two in a PPR have the higher upside because odds are CMC is going to come out. CMC is going to look good in the few plays they do have drawn up for him. He's probably going to see the field more and more throughout the game. And that's just going to phase Jeff Wilson out. So I can't trust it. And that's unfortunate, especially after the game he had last week. So yeah, give me Mooney and Reynolds.
Okay. All right, so Brant, we've got a little bit of downtime, and you and I wanted to do this the last couple of weeks, and we finally got to. We're going to give you guys some prop bets to look at for those of you that like to do daily prop bets for these football games. So Brant, give me your absolute favorite one, and then we'll work through a couple others while we wait for a couple last minute questions.
So my absolute favorite one is Patrick Mahomes rushing yards. It was set at 19.5 on the site that I used. He's hit that in 4 straight games. I expect the 49ers pass rush to get after him a little bit. I expect him to have some scrambles early in the game. So, and like I said, he's hit it in 4 straight games. I expect Mahomes to hit it again tonight. So I expect him to go over 20 rushing yards today.
Yeah, my absolute favorite of the week is Dak Prescott over 273 and a half total yards. So that's rushing and passing
And
for
receiving.
Dak. Well, if he catches one, that would be receiving as well, total yards. I just think that Dak comes back in a big way this week, and this is one that I've definitely put a little bit of my own change on. I think this is a great one this week. Dak comes back in a big way.
Yeah. Another one that I really like this week is Jacoby Brissett over 30 and a half pass attempts. I expect them to be playing from behind early against the Ravens, because we know the Ravens like to pile on the points in the first 3 quarters and then just, sit in the back seat of the fourth quarter and let everybody else catch them and pass them. So I expect Cleveland to be playing from behind early. I expect them to have over 30 attempts pretty quickly. So yeah, I really like the 30 the 30 and a half packs or 30 and a half pass attempts.
Yeah, sticking with that same game, another one that I think is an absolute just will hit today is Nick Chubb over 83 and a half total yards. That's receiving and rushing, and he very well could go over that with rushing on its own right. And if Jacoby Brissett throws 30 plus passes, he's going to get a few of them. So I like Nick Chubb to go over 83 and a half yards today. Josh says FanDuel has a good bet going on right now. Barkley to score a touchdown and the Giants to win plus 400. If you have money on the FanDuel site, that's probably a good one to put some money on. I think Saquon does have a good game this week, and I do actually think the Giants beat the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I think it's a good boost there. Good way to get a little extra money in your account. So yeah, that's a good one. I don't know if I trust the Giants completely to win. They had a big win last week, so we'll see if they can hold on to that going forward.
Careful. Don't be talking bad about our producer's team now. The Giants, I will say, are a team that I don't know if I've picked them to win any games yet this year. And here they are at 5-1. They just don't lose for some reason. They're not capable of it this year. Daniel Jones is apparently just all of a sudden just this amazing game management quarterback. And the Giants have looked good in every single game they've played, even their loss. So I actually do think they probably lose this week because this is the first week I've picked them to win. So I apologize, Josh, there behind the scenes, picking your team to win.
Who's upsetting the producer now?
Yeah. So one last one that and the props that I really like this week is Travis Etienne on the site that I use, which is the same one as you, Brant. Over 2 receptions this week. I think he smashes that early. That's another one that I really, really like this week.
Yeah, so one of the my third one that I really like this week is Dameon Pierce to go over 71 and a half rushing yards. He's hit that in 3 straight games. He's playing a soft Raiders deep rush defense. And he's been seeing the RB1 work. So yeah, that'd be my third one I'd be going with this week.
Okay, looks like we got another start question here. Josh says PPR Pickens, Gallup, or Dobbs, or Wan'Dale Robinson. So let's do that one first, and then we'll move on to that running back question. So out of those wide receivers, who's your pick this week, Brant?
Let's see. Pickens, Gallup, and Dobbs.
Robinson. Or Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Wan'Dale Robinson. I like him this week. I think it's a good play. Like we both said, he should be the number 1 wide receiver in New York, and I could see him getting a Debo role moving forward. So yeah, I think I like Wan'Dale Robinson out of those.
It's scary when Brant, when you and I agree this often, but I definitely agree with Wan'Dale Robinson as well. So, when we're this on a player together, it means they're probably going to absolutely do nothing. So we'll see. But I like Wan'Dale Robinson this week as well for a big line of work. So he said he follows it up with saying at running back, Dameon Pierce or Brian Robinson. For me, it's probably Dameon Pierce out of these two, just because Lovie Smith is coming out and saying, I want the guy to have 20 plus carries. When a coach says that, and if it happens, that's going to be hard for somebody else to beat. So I like Dameon Pierce just by a smidge over Brian Robinson.
I'm going Dameon Pierce. I said it on the cast. I expect him to have a very, very big week this week. I expect him to be, go over his rushing prop bet today. I expect Dameon Pierce to also find the end zone today. I really like Dameon Pierce this week against in that matchup.
All right, guys. So we got about a minute left here. So I'm not sure we're going to have any more questions roll in. But if you do have any more questions, as always, don't hesitate to jump over to the Fantasyholics Facebook page and drop them in the start sit post that should be going live in any second here. There'll be a lot of good answers on there. I know Brant's jumping in, going to help answer some questions later on in the afternoon. I obviously will not be on my phone a whole lot at as I'm going to a cheer party. So if you have any questions, make sure you don't hesitate. It looks like we may have time to answer Kyle's real quick, and then we're gonna jump off of here for the day. So Kyle says, please pick 2 for the flex: AJ Dillon, Garrett Wilson, Robert Woods, Kenyon Drake, Josh Reynolds. He says he's leaning Dillon and Wilson, but would like feedback. I think you're right on the money there. For mine out of these, I could see the argument being made for Kenyon Drake, but I think it's AJ Dillon and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I think those 2 are the best plays out of what you got there. I like AJ Dillon and Garrett Wilson. I also, yeah, AJ Dillon and Garrett Wilson are the 2 I'm picking up.
Yeah, Ham, up the lads, Howway the lads, Magpies are getting a big win today. Tommy, real quick, we're going to jump off here, but I'm going to answer this: CMC or Damian Harris today? I go Damian Harris, but it's very close. I'm not sure how much CMC is involved. That's why I lean Damian Harris.
Yep, Damian Harris.
All right, folks, that's it for us today.
No. Tommy, it's Damian Pierce over CMC. Pierce over CMC did come back.
Pierce, yep. Okay. Yep. Everybody enjoy your food today. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Yep. Good luck in your fantasy matchups. And as always, stay hungry
and stay